Welcome to Curious Joel, a show about curiosity taking us deeper into the topics of people's passion and interesting conversation. I'm your host, Joel Circo. I don't know why. Did that sound weird?
I mean, it always sounds weird when you do an intro. It's like your customer service voice.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like I said my last name weird. Circo. Yeah, Circo.
That's
I don't know.
your last name. Yeah.
My brain just heard it. It was like, that's not it. So I've gone from just for perspective, I've gone from messing up the last name of interviewees to my own. Apparently, if you say anything long enough, it gets confusing and weird. Anyway, today's guest joining us back again is Merwin. And I'm not even going to try and say your last name. I'll let you say your last name.
That's all right. Yeah,
because I already messed up mine.
It's Barrios.
Barrios, yes. So, if you listen to his episode, it was quite interesting. I think we had a lot of fun that day.
Yeah.
But our original thing was we were going to be talking about the topic of music. Well, now we're sitting back down. Now that we found another time to actually do this, and we're actually going to just talk about music. Music has a big impact on both of our lives, and we both have nearly unlimited genres that we listen to as well. Yeah. So that we're gonna just kind of jump into there. So just really quick, I think this is what we'll start with, and I'll actually go first. But we'll just talk about a few of the top genres that you listen to. So I'll start with I love smooth jazz, all jazz, just in general, country music, to Irish sea shanties, classic, classical Beethoven, Bach, all the way to rock, and a lot, even alternative. Those are some of my top ones. If you look on Spotify right now, those are kind of vaguely encompassing the top ones.
Okay, yeah, I think for me, my top one would be country.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, there was metal, alternative, and then the other two, they were international. Okay, it was overseas. It was a French and German.
Mm-hmm.
I know for the French artists that I listen to, it'd be more like pop.
Mm-hmm.
For the German band that I listen to, I'm not so sure. I think it's closer to metal.
Okay.
Oh, and then there's Tide Lines, the band.
Tide Lines?
I think they're Swedish.
Swedish?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I think that's their pop, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So now on the other side, is there any genre that you won't listen to?
Mumble rap.
Mumble rap?
100% mumble rap. I can't get behind it.
Yeah, no, I hadn't even thought of that as a genre of oh yeah, I guess that is a subgenre of rap, is just the
yeah.
It's yeah, that rocks, dude. It's what did he say? It's that's my favorite line. That, no offense to anyone that listens to that, but for me, I need to be able to either understand the words or not understand the words at all, but half understanding half the words is very hard.
What I don't like is the fact that if you play that song live, it's not going to be the same. You're not going to mumble the same things in the same spot at the same time.
Interesting.
And it's aside from that, obviously, yeah, I like lyrics as well.
Yeah.
So just hearing no.
Yeah, but and I think, so at least from what I've heard of it, because again,
I've stayed away from it, so I don't know much about it. The genres that
you don't really listen to, but there's this really cool guy,
right,
if you get deep enough. But the mumble rap I've listened to, the music doesn't even stand out that much. It's not this oh well, at least the music's good. It's just kind of well, they're trying to focus on this thing that's verbally unfocused. But yeah, because I listen to a lot of non-English stuff, and unfortunately right now I only know English as a language. But I listen to I can't even say their name, but it's a Swedish band that was in Eurovision. It's got some really cool songs, but they're not all in English, but their music is really clear and amazing, and they also do sometimes sing in English, and it's I can get behind that. But yeah, So really quick, since we both talked about country,
Okay.
and we have talked about rap. What about country rap?
I listen to Florida Georgia Line. Yeah.
uh,
It depends. That's 50-50 because there are good songs and there are just bad songs.
Okay.
But that's true for every genre.
Any genre.
Yeah.
It's like, well, but
overall,
there was
country rap. I listen to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious. So what role does music play in your life?
That's a good question. For starters, it's good background noise because I can't just have it be quiet.
Oh gosh, no.
I can't do that. So I can't do shows because then I'll get distracted. Music, for the most part, I can until I learn the lyrics and then I'm just singing along, and that's how I get distracted. But it's a good pastime as well because I'll turn a 2-hour drive into only an hour or 30 minutes, depending if I'm really into the music.
You're not talking about like you get so pumped you used to do like 120.
Oh no! No, I'm talking about like going 80.
It doesn't.
Sorry,
He's
65.
Joking.
Going 65.
The speed limit. But for me, like it helps the passage of time.
Yeah.
Which we talked about in our last episode. We talked about like ADHD, and the passage of time is different.
Yeah.
For me, it is not a concept, and so having music helps me pace stuff out. And when I have music, the long drive feels more like it's like an hour versus like if I have to sit in a quiet car or with music I don't like or something like that. It's sort of like, this drive's been 40 years. It's like you're driving down the road. It's like, I know, but it's a long drive.
I hate when it's a 20-minute drive, but there's no music. Because that's when I'm a kid, and I'm just like, are we there yet?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, good music's key. Yeah, so for me, it was the whole, like, if without music, it feels like a much longer drive than anything else.
And then there's also the traditional, what everyone does, like they listen to music because they relate to it. Or if they're feeling a certain way, or just want to feel a certain way, then they'll listen to a certain style of music.
My computer decided that it's going to send up some things, and I'm very confused as to why. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, for me, it also can help me set a rhythm or a pace. So, and the thing is that changes what that looks like on a minute-to-minute basis sometimes. So, like, when I'm doing, like, housekeeping or something like that, and it's, like, slower, or if I'm, like, doing yard work or something like that, I can go from, like, 1 hour I'm listening to, like, smooth jazz, because that's helping me just kind of, like, move. But then my brain will switch gears sometime, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to country music, because smooth jazz just isn't cutting it anymore. Yeah. And then, like, 2 hours into that, I'll be like, well, I need a podcast. And then the podcast, I'm like, okay, I'm bored. Okay, now let's switch over to, like, I don't know, emo, some whatever the next genre is. And it's like, there's times where, like, throughout the day, like, hour by hour, sometimes it's minutes, like, okay, nope, this is wrong. Does that ever happen to you where you're like, it's music that you like, you made the playlist, and all of a sudden you're like, nope, this is wrong music. Yeah,
absolutely. It happens more to me when I'm driving, which sucks because I can't fix it. So sometimes I will just turn it off and I'll sit in the quiet.
Versus listening to the air quotes bad music that you made.
Yeah. And then eventually it gets too much, I'll put off to the side and then I actually have to fix it. And it adds time. But no, for me when I'm working, usually it's the opposite. I get stuck on the one song and I'll just play it on repeat.
See, I've heard that a lot of people with ADHD do that thing where, like, to get through the day they have just one song, but I'm like, I don't have that. If I'm working, I can't do repetitive. Like that'll like kill me, like just straight up. So like what I do if I get a song stuck in my head, and this happened recently. My friend Jensen sent me this partial playlist from Epic, a Troy Saga, and it's Open Arms, I believe what the song is, but it's about the Lotus Eaters, and like the scene is like
Transcendent.
Yeah, transcendental, or yeah, my brain's been trying to say that word, and every time I do it, it's been messed up.
Transcontinental.
Yeah, but like transcendent, I think is the word.
Okay.
But it's like it's just really like ethereal almost, and it's just like so beautiful to listen to. Like I listened to it on repeat for like 6 times that day. I was just doing something, and I was like, I just need the song out of my head.
Yeah.
So I listened like 6 times. And then when I went to bed, I like literally put that one song on repeat the entire night. So I listened to it because I listened to it as I went to sleep. So I listened to it for about 8 hours straight, and I wasn't tired of it the next day. And I'm like, I just want the part of me that has that song stuck in the head needs to listen to the song. The part of my brain that's like, I need new music to get through the day was having issues with that. I'm like, it's just such a good song.
Yeah,
and
there are
like,
a lot of good songs.
Yeah.
And I have a playlist that I call Hooked,
mm-hmm.
which I started about 2 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I set up some ground rules where like I can't have every song on there,
right.
But it's any song that I have on repeat at least twice.
Interesting.
Because usually, if it's a good song and I want to listen to it again,
mm-hmm.
around the second time, halfway through, if I'm not feeling it again, I switch it.
Right.
So if it gets past the second time, I add it to that playlist.
Right.
Most of those songs I listen to at least 4 hours back to back, just nonstop. Yeah.
See, I have a different version of that. So my main playlist that I use is called my Feel Goods playlist, and it's just any song that I associate with happy, fun, good, like positive of anything goes there, which is kind of funny because there's some really sad songs in there. But that song, that playlist, I'm going to double check right now because I've added a few since the last time I looked at it. But it's like 3 days long, I think.
I think that's bigger than mine. I think mine is 9.
Let me double check.
I think we're just putting up our phones.
So sorry, it's 44 hours and 53 minutes long.
Yeah, mine is 15 hours.
Yeah, no, and it's just songs that cover lots of different genres, lots of different languages.
I have Phineas and Ferb.
Yep.
Yeah, I have Phineas and Ferb. I just remembered.
But yeah, no, like it just spans from like children's music to country music to smooth jazz to rock and roll to Christian rap to cartoons to oldies to like, there's just so many different songs on there, and it's really fun because like I'll have it playing sometimes and I forget like it's just this 44 straight hours, almost 45 hours straight of music.
Yeah.
That's a lot of music. And like people will be listening to it, and then all of a sudden like this random super niche or really weird song will come on, and people like give me this look, and I'm like, it's a good song.
See, now I need to check all my songs because I have a playlist just titled "All Songs," and any song I've listened to for the just once goes in there. Oh shoot, my app just glitched.
Uh-oh.
That's how many songs I have. Yeah, I think I remember last time. I think it was, man, I'm scrolling right now. I'm still scrolling.
Mm-hmm. You're scrolling pretty rapidly.
Oh, there it is. 143 hours. And that's on Apple Music. Spotify has its own playlist as well.
Oh, gotcha.
Of I think like 88 hours.
I don't know what would happen if I like looked at like all the songs that I've listened to, because that is an intense list.
Yeah. So when in doubt, that's the playlist I play. And then if there's a song I don't want to listen to, I'll just skip it.
Right. My computer's just having a day today. Twice it's booted up this window and then made it down. Well, this time it disappeared. I'm going to be a little distracted by that. So if you hear me just like pause, most likely my computer's having a glitch. I'm really hoping this audio makes it, because I'll be really upset if it doesn't. But anyway, yeah, so like I also have like so I go with like I have that really long playlist. That's just like anything feel goods.
Yeah,
I throw in there, and like again, some of them are fairly sad songs, but like the memory associated with it for me is like, this is what I was doing when I first heard this, or when I put it on the playlist, this is what had happened, and this is why it's a good feeling. But then I have like these like like both very specific yet also broad ones. Like I've got one that's like, I have no better title than Saturday morning cartoons, but it's just like kid songs from my childhood. So like VeggieTales and like Animaniacs and like Good Luck Charlie and stuff like that. Like it's just like vaguely childish music.
Yeah.
But it's not Saturday morning cartoons, but like calling it the playlist like vaguely childish music is like what? And then I have like one that I had you and Carrie listen to recently, which was just like I call it Funky Fresh because I lack a better title for it, but it's like the Bare Naked Ladies. It's some ska bands that have some fun songs. It's
Weird Al Yankovic.
Weird Al Yankovic. A lot of Weird Al Yankovic. It's got a lot of like D&D parody music from other things. It's just a lot of random stuff, but it's all like really, for me in my brain, it's stimulating, and it's not everything else songs.
Yeah.
Like you won't find pop songs in there. You won't find like normal albums in there. It's all like, all the songs are all about like getting your D6 out, or like eating food.
Eat it.
Just eat it. Yeah, Eat It by Weird Al Yankovic. And it's about a worm that likes to drum and stuff. Like it's all like, you're not gonna one of them is actually a YouTube video called Ultimate Fight of Ultimate Destiny or something like that. But it's just like thousands of fictional characters fighting out to the death. It's like, what? Yeah, like typical music.
yeah, of course.
So do you have like, what is your like standout, like if someone were to accidentally stumble upon that playlist, they'd be like, what am I listening to? Do you have any songs like that? Or playlists like that?
That's the first one that comes to my mind is the the song about the Grinch. The one where you wouldn't touch him with a 39.5-foot pole. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. That's what it's called.
Good job.
Thank you. But I know I have a bunch more in there where people would give me that side. They're like, what? How? Why?
Why are you like this?
I might have to take a look at my music, actually, because I don't have it.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of small pauses in this to like 100%. Look at the playlist and like, wait, what was that song?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, because to you it's natural. It's just like, yep, this is a playlist. I'm gonna listen to it now.
I will say this though: people have commented on my Hooked playlist, saying that they don't like how it jumps back and forth. And I'm just like, no, it makes sense to me. It's just all my favorite songs.
Yeah. See, there's a few playlists that I have that like songs are so good that they'll like be put in that playlist twice. Which is funny because there's sometimes it really annoys me that it's in there twice.
When it plays back to back.
Or like too close together.
Yeah, that throws me for a loop because I think I put it on repeat by mistake.
Well, for me, I'm like, but I just listened to that the other day. But like, I want it to be in the playlist so that when it's shuffling and on random, like it'll happen more often.
Yeah.
But not in the same day. Like I want, yeah.
Honestly, no, I don't.
No, not really.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure someone else went through my playlist, then they point out a bunch of songs.
Yeah. I just know that because I usually am the person with the music because I've had Spotify Premium since like forever.
Yeah.
And so like I'm always the one that has music. I always have the ability to play the music and stuff like that. So I get a lot of the side eyes because like I'm very mood motivated with music. That was fun. Mood motivated by music. So I don't hesitate to like put on a playlist and then realize later, these are kind of weird songs. People may or may not judge me for this. So they get to hear all the stuff that they judge me for.
The only band that comes to my mind because of their name and how people who don't know them get confused, it's Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Which I we actually had a discussion about this the other day.
Did we?
Yeah, we talked about it because I was telling you about how they got their name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So their name, they wanted a name that was just like very like we just do what we want. Like we make the songs we want to, even if people don't care.
Yeah.
You know. And so they wanted something that was like just like we bear it all, like we're just out there and we just do what we want. And they have some really fun out of the box songs that are really cool, and they have quite a few hits actually, including like One Week. If
I had $1 million,
if I had $1 million, and then
odds are
those are like the top 3 songs. But they were going to go with the name Bare Naked Men, but then they stopped for a moment and realized if we call ourselves Bare Naked Men, no one's gonna want to come to our show. And so they're like, well, what if we switched it? And then like it was actually kind of incidental. Like they weren't thinking about like, oh wow, now we sound like naked women. But it was just like they wanted something that's like kind of like, yeah, we just are out there. And I really appreciate their style of doing everything because it's just a very just cool way of doing things.
And even then, with them, there are times I'll just play one of their albums.
Yeah.
And that's enough. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, if you like them, you should also check out Da Vinci's Notebook. Because Da Vinci's Notebook also has a very similar style of just like, they just kind of do stuff.
I think I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have an alphabet song that they go with the most, or like least fitting alphabet. So like, for like P, they're going with like pneumatic and pterodactyl and stuff like that. Like they find the words that are like least representative of the letter. It's really funny.
I like that.
Yeah. So I want to switch topics a little bit. This is gonna get a little bit interviewy.
Okay.
But I almost forgot about this. You are an actual musician. To some extent.
To some extent, yes.
I know that you're a little hesitant to call yourself that.
I am, yeah.
But you play a few instruments. What instruments do you play?
What I play or what I used to play?
What have you played?
Okay, I started off with the trumpet. Then I moved on to the drums, the piano. I believe in middle school, what did I play? It was the xylophone, and then that's where I moved to my main instrument that I still play to this day, which is the bass guitar. And then I know at some point in there I played the violin for a bit. And I think that's everything.
Okay, that's a pretty impressive repertoire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many of those instruments do you still own?
I still own the keyboard that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I have, oh my god, I have like 3 or 4 basses now.
If you still played that makes sense.
I have a guitar,
okay,
which is ironic because I have a thing against guitars.
You have a thing against?
See, mainly just because you know how guitarists always bash on bass players ish. Yeah. In a rivalry. Yeah, so that's why I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna play guitar. I just won't touch one. And I have one. I didn't buy it. My friend was giving it away, so I thought,
gotcha,
it's free. I should probably learn guitar, even if I don't like him.
See, I try not to let like grudges and stereotypes stop me from things because I found that it's a really stupid thing to like not do something just because other people think a thing about it.
Yeah.
And I actually learned to find pleasure out of doing things like that. So like switching topics a little bit for a second. One of my favorite things to do is watch like live action, like the bad live action versions of things. It's like Dragonball Evolution, which there's like a million people that if they heard this clip would just like try and stab me immediately. But Dragonball Evolution was a really terrible version of the anime Dragon Ball / Dragon Ball Z, and et cetera, et cetera. But there are things that I watched it because I was like, well, but somebody put a lot of work into this. I watched it, and there's a few things, I'm not saying a lot, but there's a few things like, they should have done that in the show. They really honestly should have. But because everyone's like, well, but it's all stupid. It's like, well, yes, but, and I love just watching, like, hardcore anime fans just, like, cringe and just, like, crunch into, like, a little ball. Like, what is wrong with you?
See, I'd agree with you and I would, and I do. I'd let bygones be bygones. But it's also having to do with the fact that it's not one of the things I want to learn.
Gotcha.
So it's like an excuse that I give myself.
So you're like, well,
because
but I'm a bassist.
So I know how to play the bass, right? What I do want to learn is how to play the string instruments, like the violin, the cello, the bass, the stand-up, not the electric, the one that I play. And I want to play wind instruments. Right? I want to play the trumpet as well, along with the trombone, the tuba, the clarinet, the flute. Actually, I don't know about the flute. I've heard it's hard. But
I mean, usually people would say violin is hard.
Oh, well, I mean, I already have a quote-unquote string instrument.
Yeah.
I have some experience with fret, pressing down and everything, but with the fingering. But aside from that, the guitar, I've just never really had an excuse or reason to want to learn how to play.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I envy you because you do have those instruments under your belt.
Yeah.
See, I am an aspiring learner of music instruments. So the instruments I have something called a dobro, also called a lap steel. So it's a slide guitar, but it's specifically designed so you're not doing like chords. You only can use the slide and use like finger picks to play it, and you play it laying flat on your lap steel. I think there's another name for it, and I cannot remember what it's called. The other name for it, but it's really cool. Resonator guitar. It's also called a resonator guitar. It's really cool, but I haven't like most of the tutorials that I try and learn either start with with your extensive knowledge of guitar playing, or with your extensive knowledge of banjo playing. It's like, well, nope. This is what if this is your first instrument ever? It's like, well, that's too bad.
So what I'm hearing is you got to take a side quest.
Yeah. I also have a columbi. Like it's like a thumb harp. They used to be really big on TikTok for a little bit.
I remember that. Okay,
yeah. Like little boxes with little metal pieces that you pluck. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty soothing, and it's really hard. Like I feel, and I don't know a lot about harps, like regular harps, but I feel like it's like a harp where, in my mind, on a harp you can just put your hands on there somewhere and it'll sound good. It might not be a song, but like you're not gonna be like, oops, that was nope, that's a bad one. Like I feel like you can't mess up with a harp. Now, I'm sure I'm wrong, because I know that there's a way to mess up just about anything, but a columbi is very similar. Of like, it's really hard to make it sound bad. I'm sure it's more difficult to make it sound really good, but like you can just pluck it and it's soothing. Okay. The last instrument I have, this is my proudest instrument, because I love the fact that I just have one, and I'm trying to learn how to play it. It's the didgeridoo. Now, didgeridoo, I found out, falls into a category that I didn't know existed, called a breath instrument. Not a wind instrument or reed instrument, breath instrument, because a single basically plays for about that long.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so you have to learn how to circular breathe to play it. So, like, it's a big challenge, but it's if I ever learn how to do that, it'll be really cool.
So what's circular breathing?
Gosh, so circular breathing. Thank you for asking that question.
You're welcome.
Audience, I apologize, because usually I'm the one that has to clarify things. So thank you, Merwin. So circular breathing is basically the practice of continual pressure through the mouth. So unlike the name suggests, it is a bit of a misnomer when it's actually breathing in a circular fashion. It's not. So basically what it is, if you've ever let's start with blowing bubbles in milk, because that's what they actually encourage you to start with, like a cup of water and blowing bubbles. A lot of different instruments use this. So you can use it with saxophone. You can use it with the trumpet, I think. They also have it for... So I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've heard it, but there's a few different... I think French horn can also use it. There's a few different ones that use it. Basically, you can continue playing musical notes, will continue to breathe instead of pausing to breathe. So what happens basically is you have to inhale through your nose, start pushing out through your mouth, and then when you're ready to start your next breath, you basically fill your cheeks with air, close the back part of your mouth from like when you're like trying to hold your breath, basically. Think about that. But instead of just that, you will then have to open up your nasal cavity. Shoot. Whatever.
One of those two. Yeah.
So basically you have to hold your breath, inhale through your nose to get more air into your lungs. But instead of holding, when you normally hold your breath, your mouth is completely closed. You're actually using your cheeks to push the rest of the pocket of air in your mouth out through the instrument.
Mm.
Now, doing that once, like the... Nope, I did it wrong. I breathe out through my nose. But it's something that you're not used to, because usually if you're trying to hold your breath and seal that back passage to your throat, usually you're trying to seal everything. So your lips will automatically seal completely. So you're like, and then you're like, wait, now I have to push out and breathe in. And then you try and like breathe out versus push the air out with your mouth. Like your cheeks are doing the work, not your lungs, which you're not used to doing either.
Right.
So it's a lot of things that go against your natural system that, it's pushing your boundaries of what's natural for your body to do. But if you can pull it off, it creates this very cool effect of continuous notes and music through various instruments. With the didgeridoo, you literally have to do that, because if you do not, you have a whoa. But like the didgeridoo is the one, how a lot of people describe it is like the warbling sound, the whoa, which you get that through continuously putting pressure through the didgeridoo.
Yeah. And
you cannot do that with taking pauses for breath. Like it just does not continue that warbling sound. But yeah, it's a lot of, I both mean this sarcastically and seriously. It is a lot of fun to try and learn how to circular breathe just to try and get notes out of this didgeridoo.
Yeah, I just might pick that up actually.
You can find them on like Amazon, like a fairly cheap one.
Oh no, not what is it? The didgeridoo?
Yeah.
No, I just meant the circular breathing.
Oh.
I don't know if I want the wub wubs. Yeah.
The wub wubs. Yeah. I mean, if you're planning on using, like, learning any other instrument that uses your breath, circular breathing, from what I've understood, can help you with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's like the reed instruments, the wind instruments, and all that. Yeah, I mean, I wish that they designed like a bag for it, like bagpipes, because bagpipes use the same thing of like they use continuous notes. They just don't have to continuously breathe. They just have to keep putting air into the bag to push out.
But
they basically do the smart way of circular breathing. Everyone else uses the hard way, because no other instrument has decided that, hey, you know what? Why don't we put an air reserve on this?
I was about to say that. Like, why don't you just like blow air somewhere where you can just push it out? It's bagpipes.
It's bagpipes. The Scottish had this years ago. They were on that technology. So I guess since we're talking about instruments, and is there any instrument that you just are marveled at the existence of, or the talent or skill of, or maybe a specific person that just like blows you out of the water when you watch them play an instrument?
I have two separate answers for that.
Okay.
One of the instruments is the flute.
The flute?
I am intimidated by the flute. Hands down. Because I know how difficult it is to play. It's not a reed instrument where you fold the bottom lip in and then blow out.
Yeah.
It's not a trumpet or any instrument that uses a mouthpiece where it's like a buzzing. You put your lips together and buzz. You have to use I believe it's your top lip over your bottom lip.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to blow your air down to where the flute's at. And that takes practice.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I remember watching this one video with the U.S. Army Band, where they were able to, in a way, beatbox using the flute.
Yeah.
So just once I learned that, I was like, okay, screw this. The flute, man, it's just something else.
So
Really threw me for a loop.
Can I tell you something? You just unlocked this. So my mom plays the French horn and the flute. And so I gotta mess around with the French horn. French horns, for me, I'm like, I can get air through it and it can make a noise, and that's about it.
Okay.
The flute, I can get a consistent note out of. I can't like play it, but for me, it's no more difficult than like an empty like glass bottle or something and making that like noise.
Yeah, I can't do that with a glass bottle either. So maybe that's why I just don't have to practice.
So here's what you should do. Go buy yourself a root beer or Fanta or something in a glass bottle and just practice that. Yeah, so I was like, I feel like it's not that hard, but you know, I mean, again, I probably wouldn't be able to play the violin at all. So you know what? Okay, so you said flute,
yeah,
and beatboxing with the flute,
yes,
and then you said you had another answer too.
Yeah, the one person that really impresses me. I hope I get his name right. I believe it was shoot, I don't want to get it wrong. Adam Neeson, but he's a bass player as well.
Okay,
and he plays other instruments as well. But if I remember correctly, he was a music. What do you call those people that
composer?
No. To graduate, he studied music basically.
Oh,
I believe he studied jazz as his degree.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Neely, that's what it was. Neely.
Neely.
N-E-E-L-Y. There was a video I watched of him doing a cover of a song where he used the bass to play chords.
Okay.
So yeah, that's something I thought about doing. Something I knew that I'd have to study to be able to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled it off. So that just really impressed me. And along with other of his videos and the knowledge he has of music theory that I don't, it just really impresses me.
Music theories, like I've listened to a podcast that kind of casually goes over music theory like every episode, and there's still so much like this is like they brought it down to like as layman as they could get, and I'm still like vaguely understanding a little bit more, and I'm like, man, the people that study that like regularly and use that knowledge on a regular basis, that's crazy. For me, one of the most impressive displays of instrument use is a group called Top Secret. It's Top Secret Drum Corps, and their precision use of everything, because they don't just play the drums, they do a show. They do a full show, and it's mostly drums. I think they have a couple like trumpets or something else, but they're just like, it's one of those like precision timing things where they're like drumming on each other's drums. They're like doing like marching lines and like crossing over and flaming drumsticks and sword fights while drumming. And it's just like this whole thing, but like they have it, and they're all volunteers. They don't get paid for this stuff. They learn it just because like they have day jobs, and then they like, to relax, what we do is precise precision drumming and sword fights and all these things. And I'm just like, they're absolute uniform, and they never miss a beat, and like they just look so amazing, because like you can like, it is so satisfying watching them when like the camera pans to a certain angle and you realize that they're like every single drum stick is in perfect line with each other. And then like they'll like do like things where like they toss the drumsticks across, and like I'm like, how are you doing this? This is insane. Like, just the drumming itself is crazy. You add actually moving and trying to do a march and like in sync walking and stuff like that, and it's just like mind blowing. And then you add on, by the way, this is just for fun for them. Like, it's like, wait a minute. The other person that I really admire is Lindsey Sterling.
Oh, I remember her.
Because for me, like, there's a lot of things that like I've seen stuff. I'm like, well, I would do it differently, but I'd fail at it. Like it would just not be accepted. And Lindsey Sterling just like, I'm gonna do violining and I'm gonna do dancing my own way, and I'm gonna do them at the same time and deal with it. And instead of what happens a lot of times, because there's a lot of people that do similar things to what she did of like, I'm just going to do my own thing. And they go like, society goes, no, stop. That's not a dance. That's not a dancing. Stop it. But Lindsay Sterling kind of just does her own stuff, vaguely ballet style-ish, but it's not ballet.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost breakdancing, but it's not break. Like, it's got influences from things, and she just kind of like, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to play my violin, and then everyone's like, that's cool. It's like, and just the fact that she was able to succeed at doing her own style of everything,
right,
is just inspirational. Like, there's so many people out there that should have also gotten that same chance, because like they do something so cool, but society was like, well, that's not how you do that, and then shut them down. But like the fact that she was able to succeed is just like inspiring, because like, hey, your dream came true. You did it your own way. I've got a chance to do it my own way, and there's a chance I might succeed at that. And I also, going back to what I said earlier, the didgeridoo is just mad impressive. Oh, sorry, I just remember there's another artist. His name is Trevor Green.
Okay.
He's a one-man band. Plays drums, guitar. He has like a loop box, so like he can like play a thing, and then so he's not playing all these exactly the same time, but he like does the beats live and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
But, like he'll play the guitar, the bass, the drums. He has a kickbox sometimes, 2 didgeridoos, and sings. And it's mad impressive. I saw him live. The first time I ever heard of him, I saw him live at a art exhibit where they had a few different live bands. But just like, that was the first CD I ever bought with my money, or bought, period. I never bought a CD with someone else's money, but like that was the first CD I bought, because like I'd never heard him anywhere. You know, my family had other CDs that I could listen to, my like other music that I like, but like this is the first time like I was like, I need a CD. Like that's so cool, because like he would do the didgeridoo, and then he'd loop it, and then like he'd play the riff on his guitar and loop it, and like but then he'd do all these things, but all these different things are so entirely different from each other, and just the fact that he's like, you know what other one-man band has ever put into their show? A didgeridoo. It's like, wait, you... Okay, cool. And it was just so cool, because like it just fits with his style so well, and just like, it was really cool to watch. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Anything else? I feel like I'm skipping something or missing something that I feel like should definitely be talked about, but I can't think of what it is.
Oh, I have a story.
Okay, go for it.
I just remembered. Okay. Now you was talking about, I just remember you were talking about music theory, and how even with layman terms, it was still...
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar situation to that.
Oh.
But it was funny and a bit worse, because...
Okay.
I played the bass in middle school, right?
Uh-huh.
And then after that in high school, I think I played the drums and then stopped. But I still kept up with the bass, not as often as when you would play every day.
Right.
But I still knew how to play, and I remember going to college and thinking like, hey, I want to go back into a band. Let me join the band and play the bass guitar. So I go to the music department and I talk to one of the professors. So they get the I forget what his name was. That's kind of bad. I just can't think. Doctor, yeah.
Doctor. I said conductor.
Oh no, but he was a doctor because he had a PhD.
Oh, okay.
So he was a big deal. He was with the U.S. Marine Band when he was younger. But yeah, I told him I played the bass, and like, cool, jazz band needs a bass player. Go with them. And it's hilarious because jazz is one of the harder genres to play, because it actually requires music theory, right? It requires you to know.
Yeah.
So here I am, just someone who played the bass as their pastime.
Kind of casually, yeah.
Casually.
Going into one of the more complex versions of music.
So I remember the first day I was with them, they gave me the sheet music, and I was like, cool. I remember sheet music. I know how to read it.
Uh-huh.
I can't read it like I did before, where it's on the spot. It took me a minute. And then they're all just playing, and then they're switching up and improvising. I'm like,
uh-huh.
Okay.
So, Is
So
that...
I was basically. This is gonna be a bit of a side note, but
Sure.
I don't know how to swim. I want to learn how to swim, but I don't want to learn the way people learned, which was being tossed into the deep end.
Uh-huh.
That's Highland base.
Sure.
I was tossed into the deep end.
Yeah.
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 I just find it ironic and funny.
Yeah. So really, I kind of want to talk about that. It's like, so jazz, because what people think, I think what a lot of people think of jazz is just like, yeah, you just kind of go up there like bloop bloop doop 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 doop, and like then the trumpet goes boop 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 boop, and then like, you know, like they feel like a lot of people have this idea that jazz is just like this, like, yeah, no one really, like, they just kind of pick up their instruments and just let it ride, like,
yeah.
you know, it's like, well, they're able to do that because they put hours and hours and days of work into being able to, they work so hard at getting to know their instrument and their bandmates.
Yeah.
That then it's easy to riff off of each other and just be like, all right, and then you can feel, and then you take it over, and then, you know, you're doing your bass solo for a second, and then like the saxophonist steps up and is like, ooh, I got just the thing to ride off of that, and then they go into that. But it's not just like, well, I just gotta do. It's like, well, I know the theories, I know the, like, I know the flow, I know the chords, I know like the whole thing, and because of that knowledge, that in-depth knowledge, it's like a rocket scientist going like, yep, I can do 2 + 2 real easy. And then like, oh, long division, that's just long division. You know, it's like, well, what do you mean it's just long? Like, they make it look easy because they're used to rocket science. Yeah. Like, and so stepping down to just riff off a little bit is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I don't know if you want to elaborate more on like what it takes for jazz.
Oh goodness. I think everyone but myself was part of the music department, so they were getting the degree in music.
Right.
So they had their own curriculum, and that's why they were able to play in jazz, I suppose. Now, I walked in there, I read off the sheet music, because they had sheet music, which I was grateful for. But oftentimes, even with this sheet music, you don't need it.
Right.
You just need to know the key. You just need to know when you play, when to let others play, and then that's it.
The key and the rhythm.
The key of the the key and the rhythm of the of the piece you're playing.
Because if you don't have the rhythm, everybody's just do.
Pretty much. But yeah, like there was never a dull moment with them because I was always on my toes.
Yeah.
Like once I'd get, okay, you know what? I have the sheet music. I think I would spend about 3 or 4 hours a day just catching up.
Yeah.
So I did learn some music theory. It's gone now. I haven't practiced, but I need to get back into that.
Yeah.
3 or 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then I'd catch up with the sheet music. Okay, cool. Merwin, go ahead. Give us a solo. Okay. So then I had to go and learn how to do a solo, how to make sure that it sounds...
How it makes sure it fits into the music piece,
yeah.
Right? You know, because like if you don't want to be sitting there like, okay, how long, because then you're not focusing on your solo, you're not letting it flow. You're like
pretty much
like telling someone like just really focus on every single word and just freestyle rap, just really quick. It's like, but make sure it's coherent and you're also trying to get your point across because this is an oral report. It's like, wait, and then. The people and stuff and history. But that's kind of what you were doing is like, you're like, okay, have it fit perfectly technically.
Pretty much.
You know, let loose.
Pretty much. And then after that, we'd get different sheet music.
Right.
So it's a different rhythm, a different pattern, a different...
key, everything.
Yes. Yeah. So when I'd get oftentimes the bass, it was quarter notes, which...
Explain quarter notes really quick.
Okay, quarter notes. When it comes to music, right? There's what if it's a 1 bar of music, which is 4 beats. A quarter note is just one of those beats.
Can you break us off a piece of that, just like rhythmically?
Okay. So 4 beats would be right. That's 1 bar, and then a quarter note would just be that snap, right? One of those snaps.
Okay.
So each of those were 1 quarter notes.
Okay.
And then you have your half notes, which is 2 beats of the 4. So when it comes to 4 beats, instead of hearing, you'd hear...
Right.
Right. And then you have your whole note, which is 4 beats. Doesn't work well with snapping because that's just, you just hear it once. But when it comes to an instrument, if you just let it play out for those 4 beats, that's your whole note.
Right.
And then you have your 8th note, which is half a quarter note. A 16th note, which is half of your 8th note. God. And 30, if you get far enough, a 32nd, which is a half of a 16th. Which that usually, in person's not so much. Usually it's just digitally with your with the drums.
Gotcha.
But there would be times where, in the beginning, it was just the sheet music was quarter notes. That's what I had to play for the most part. And then I had 8th notes, and then I had triplets, which is a different thing. It's hey, how can I describe this? A quarter note, it's 1, right, for just 1 beat. An 8th note would be within 1 beat. Triplets is a bit past 8th, but before 16th, because 16th is 4 in a beat.
Gosh.
Triplets is just 3, right? So 1 beat, quarter note. In 1 beat, 2 snaps in 1 beat would be your quarter note. 3 snaps in 1 beat would be your triple. And then 4 beats, or 4 snaps, I should say, in 1 beat would be your 16th note.
Right.
So eventually got to the point where like, yeah, all you're playing is 8th notes. All you're playing is 16th notes. All you're playing is an 8th. Wait, hold up. There's a rest. And then play a quarter note. So each time I was like, okay, great. Something I got to relearn.
Right. So it was challenging every step of the way.
Yes.
But it was exciting, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And even then, I'm grateful for the people that were with me because they really helped me out a lot. And at the end of the semester, they were like, yeah, we're impressed. Like, we thought you wouldn't cut it out.
And you're like, neither did I.
Well, no, here's the thing. They thought for how fast I picked things up, that's what they really liked. And I'm just, it felt validating because I did put in like 3 or 4 hours a day to catch up.
How much of that was due to like just ADHD being able to pick it up because of the dedication and just like the ability to focus on something when you're interested in it?
Probably all of it.
Yeah.
All
See,
of it.
I've learned that like because like I've had people upset at me for how fast I pick things up that everyone else is still struggling with. I'm like,
yeah,
it just clicked in my head and that's it. That's it. I didn't spend hours researching it and like figuring this out. And like I know a lot of people get annoyed at me, but I'm like I found out again recently like, well, it's ADHD. Like it just certain things click and certain things don't. And there's certain things I can research until they click.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how it sounds like what it was for you. Like, you know, you were able to like just dive into it because you were motivated to focus on the topic.
And that's why side note. That's why I need to take calculus again. Because the first time I got to see
music theory.
No, absolutely, of course. You don't see the tangent line between the notes.
Oh no, quick, log division, quick! How do you do log division on bass? I don't know.
No, but calculus, when I was in high school... That
saxophone playing those negative notes is amazing. Quick, divide that!
You get a graph, that's your music.
God! So stupid! And now... math musicians.
I want to say that's a thing.
Oh, there's probably a thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But just like watching somebody write notes and like math hurts my head, but is also the funniest thing I've thought of in a long time.
Yeah, but that's why I want to take calculus because it really...
You actually have the motivation to focus.
Well, aside from that, I just didn't understand it. So the fact that I got a C, which was it was passing grade.
Yeah.
But the fact that I didn't understand it and they just chewed me out.
Gotcha.
I can't let it win.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Huh. Anything else about music that we want to hit on before we wrap up?
Nothing comes to mind. No. I think that's everything.
Okay. I will say, I think I said this in our last episode together, was like, I could not live my life without music.
Mm-hmm.
I am very thankful for music in general. Just like, man, I wish I should have said this in my Thanksgiving episode. But like, thankful for just the variety of music that's out there that, you know, can be played and people talented enough to make it sound good instead of like tink, 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 tink. Like, cause that's what I would do. In my current state, that's what I'd be able to do. But like the people that can go out there and weave these, like some of them are so beautifully composed that they feel like nope, got them backwards. Audible paintings, like they weave these like musical tapestries, and it's just like so complex and interesting. Like it's immersive, and it's kind of crazy. Like, cause I'm sitting there like, well, I could put like a guitar string, like a note that plinks here, and I can put like a drum that goes tush tush tush, and then like a boo, boo, and then like, oh nope, that sounds gross. Delete it all. So like, there's people out there that can do these amazing things. It's just incredible to me. And like all of you aspiring musicians out there, please don't give up. I want to hear your sound. I want to hear your sound. And hey, you know what? If you guys are aspiring musicians, send me a video or like an audio file. Like message me on Twitter or Instagram or something like that. Like, let me hear what your sound is. I'll if people actually do this, I'll like promote you on like my page. I'll like spotlight you on the next episode. I'll be like, hey guys, check out so and so. They got a really cool sound. So, hey, opportunity to be heard and seen. But yeah, so hit me up with that. Merwin, thank you again so much for coming on the show. You look like you like for a second looked like you were about to say something else.
Oh no, I'm just over here thinking back on our conversation. And I'm like, I learned a lot when it comes to music. Because I was thinking about the beats and everything. Mm-hmm. So the 4 beats in a measure in one of the bars. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not true. That's just the standard. You can have 3 or 6 or 8.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just having all that knowledge. I'm like, okay, so there's the measures, there's the notes. I'm like, whoa, I learned a lot.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. But like I said, thank you so much for being on today again, and actually talked about the topic this time. So it's been an absolute pleasure. As always, a big thank you to Milana Dodd for the cover art that she made. She's a wonderful graphic design artist. You can check out all of her work over on milanadodd.com. My brain blanked and I don't have it on my page. It's either milanadodd.com or milanasdesigns.com. Either way, that'll be linked in the description below. So check that out. Braden Slens, his Coaster Gnome YouTube channel, recently just posted my episode of 0 Credits Accounting. So go check that out. That'll be linked in the description below. Again, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, you can hit me up on Twitter at Joel Circo, on Instagram at CuriousJoelCast, or email me at CuriousJoelCast@gmail.com. Yeah, I think that's everything. If you liked what you heard, please like it, share it with somebody else, rate it on whatever podcast listener you listen to this on. Yes, I'm making lots of sense. Super easy, super cool, super chill. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening, and I'll catch you all on the next episode.